Right. Just jumping right into it.
Jumping right in, Schleider. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
You look like a man right now. What's going on?
Yeah, the
Is
uh the beard is a new addition as of a couple months ago.
that like a big holiday thing?
No, I was home kind of sick for like a couple months and I was
Mm.
like, I don't like shaving. And then it's just kind of kept going. I got past the awkward stage and then I was like, oh, it's not bad. And yeah, mainly I just don't like shaving. So
Yeah, I'm going through a weird trial, man. I went with the mustache for a long time. My wife really liked it, and then I started kind of growing some stuff in on the sides, and now I'm doing the
yeah.
Bob the Sports thing where I'm shaving
Okay.
underneath here.
It's fun to play around with.
It's fun to
It's
play
like,
around with.
yeah.
But I have like no like style sense or fashion sense, so like
Yeah.
I have no idea when I look
What are you
ridiculous
talking
or
about? What are you talking about? You don't have style since you got a bunch of good on. That's all you need.
Well, I don't have style sense. I have a great apparel company
There
that
you go.
supplies me with wonderful clothing that I can be an idiot and just put on and I'll look good.
Yeah.
That's how that works. Shop.gigagolf.com. Anyway, Ryder, welcome to the program, buddy. This is something I've kind of wanted to do for a while, and I was messaging you last night. I just think it's cool because not only are you like a personality in the space, but you're an editor, you're a videographer, you're something I haven't really dove into in the YouTube golf world, but I think this is going to be really interesting for people to kind of hear the other side of it. And we kind of got connected because last podcast I went on a diatribe that I've gone on 400 times that talks about how crazy your job is, not you specifically, but just the editor, videographer, which has been a job in YouTube golf for a long time and kind of almost unique to it because not a lot of other niches of YouTube have the same kind of like expectation sometimes on employees. So I just think it's interesting and we're gonna get into all of it. But how was your holidays? Let's start there.
It was great. It was the first year I didn't go home. So I live in Colorado actually. I'm not in Dallas with the other good people, but I was in Colorado. I went up to my uncle's and some family came in, so it was nice not having to travel in the holiday time.
Yeah, chill. So for people who don't know, are you involved in Good in any way, or is it just
No,
Garrett?
I feel like it's a common misconception is
Yeah,
that I am a part of Good or something or like work with
yeah.
them. I used to. There was a point. It was like a couple months point where I did, but no, for the most part. And as of now, and the last year or a half, probably, it's all GM golf.
Is that a workflow thing? Like just like, you're just have enough that keeps you busy, which is GM golf, or is that just like is there other reasons why you never ended up going with both?
I think Garrett and I have a good dynamic of like working together, and yeah, he keeps me busy enough. There's enough there's enough to do in just GM golf that like I feel like I don't need any more work or would want any more work. And I don't know, Good's more of a like company, and I kind of like
Hmm.
the aspect of just like Garrett. We've been working together for so long. We got a good thing going. We know what expectations are. There's not much like a little back and forth, but it's like I don't know. I like the workflow better than having to you know talk to a bunch of different people about videos and stuff. Like when I was working with them, I was basically the like do everything guy. It was like, oh,
Hmm.
edit a podcast here, do a thumbnail here, and it was just like, yeah, it wasn't great. Working with them is great, but just like what I was doing, I was like, no, I like just having one thing to focus on.
Totally. How did that relationship with Garrett start for people who don't know?
So I saw this kid making trick shot videos on Instagram 2017 maybe, and just DM'd him out of the blue. Like it wasn't, I didn't like DM many people like that, but he was just a kid my age that was doing trick shots, and he had like I think he had like 3,500 followers at the time. So early on, which is kind of lucky I guess. But early on just DM'd him, was like, hey dude, love your trick shots, keep it up, and like kind of initially connected through that. And that's kind of around the time that I started getting into videography and editing and whatnot. And that was when he started YouTube. And so, like, I would kind of help him with when he was editing his own stuff. I was like, hey, I'm an editor if you need any help. And like, I remember hopping on a FaceTime and being like, oh, yeah, here's how you download a plugin, or here's how you here's a couple of shortcuts to help you out. So, just like, I don't know, just kind of became a friend. Like, I wasn't,
Yeah.
my whole plan wasn't to, yeah, this guy's gonna do well and then I'm gonna be his guy. It's like it was just like I don't know, he's just a cool kid that I wanted to help out and liked his content. And then yeah, I guess I mean I can go through the whole timeline of how I kind of started working for him, but basically was doing my own thing, editing, always had this connection. And once he got to a point with YouTube where he was able to maybe he was making enough money or didn't have the time to edit his own stuff, I was the first editor that edited for Garrett actually. And I remember he was in a trip in like England, and I don't know where he was, but he was on a trip and he was like, "Hey, I can't edit these videos. Like, can you take these?" So he sent me a couple and did a couple of them, and kind of from there just was his like fill-in guy. And like whenever he had a video that he couldn't edit, I was stepped in, edited, and then got more like I not. It was never really full time. It was kind of like videos here and there. He had Bradley too that did a lot of his stuff, and so it was like kind of off and on for a couple of years. And then I think maybe a little over 2 years ago, he brought me on like full time to basically do what I'm doing now, which is like go on every trip, film, edit, like all of that. So yeah,
Really cool, dude. Really
fun
cool.
ride.
You're one of the more artistic creators, I would say, in the space. I feel like you have a real passion for it. It's not just I like to film golf shots. It's like you like I watched your John Daly intro again the other day just to like really I watched a couple of your intros just to like kind of get it fresh in my mind, but that one really
Yeah.
stood out to me. And I know you timeline that on your Instagram page.
Yeah.
How did you get into creating? Like, was it just purely like an artistic expression? Was it something you've done since you were a kid? Like, I know you have videos of you holding a camera as a kid, so
Yeah.
but was it always this level of like interest in it?
Yeah, I think it always has been. Like even as a kid, I there's videos of me like trying to grab my dad's camcorder and being like, he's like, no, you can't have the camera. And like I remember going to college basketball games when I was in like elementary school and like filming shots on my iPod. And so I feel like I've always kind of had a thing for just like capturing
Hmm.
stuff and that kind of creativeness. Like I've always had that creative bone in my body, I guess. And it started, and another kind of way I got into it was my high school. I played basketball in high school. My high school basketball coach, he had this Instagram page, and it was like a basketball themed Instagram page where he just like made edits of like NBA players, college players, and stuff like that, and had grown a following of like a couple 100,000. And when I found that, I was like, that's the coolest thing ever. Like, that's so cool. It's like there wasn't a face behind it, but he was just like
Hmm.
making these edits. So I started my own page. I called it like Dunks Mix or something like that, and would just like so that was my kind of my first experience with like the editing side of things was like just making edits on my iPod of basketball plays or like cool shots or whatever, and posted them on Instagram. Kind of grew a following, and like and then in high school, I mean, I think that was early on in high school. In high school, I quit playing basketball and then started filming for my basketball team. And then there's also another like nonprofit organization that I film stuff for. So it was like my whole kind of last 2 years of high school was probably 80% filming and video and 20% school.
Yeah.
Just because I knew this is something I'm interested in, something I have kind of like a natural talent for, an eye for, and like I'm just gonna do this kind of thing. And kind of just went from there. And I think spent so much time just like learning things on YouTube and whatnot. And I feel like when opportunity meets like work, where you kind of intertwine or whatever, it's like it's a recipe for a good thing.
That's awesome, dude. The younger generation, like one younger than us, there's that statistic where it's like 75% of them want to be creators or whatever, and that's their like dream job. For our generation, I feel like it was like maybe kind of starting to become a thing towards the end of high school where like you saw that it could be a job.
Yeah.
Did you always want to be behind the camera, or was there a time when you were, wanting this thing to lead you to be in front of the camera as well?
I mean, I wouldn't consider myself being in front of the camera right now at all. I think I'm still
No,
classic.
no, that's what I mean. Like, have you always wanted to
Oh
be where
yeah.
you are versus like, did you ever want to try to be in front of the camera?
Oh, gotcha. No, I don't think I ever did. I think I was fine being behind the camera in whatever I did and capturing moments. I did weddings too was a big thing that I did, and just the art of like capturing these moments that happen in real time that is just I don't know, I love it. So yeah, I don't think there's as much drive like there hasn't been drive to or at least back then to be like in front of the camera. I think if anything, there's more now
Hmm.
that than like in past years. Just because I mean, there's certain things that golf YouTube creatively doesn't like scratch for me. And so I think doing like that's what I was listening to the Cole interview, and I was like, all the things he was saying, I was like, yeah, did I get that? It's like,
Hmm.
so I think there's, if anything, there's more drive, not drive, but like more, whatever now to be like, oh, I want to kind of start making my own little videos here or there, talk about things, talk about video stuff that I'm passionate about, make tutorials or whatever. It's just hard to find the time, but yeah, we'll see.
That's where we all as creators kind of can go sometimes. And, you see it with a bunch of guys, but you have those spurts where you just like randomly will put out, like I'll randomly put out like a vlog that I spend a ton of time putting music to and whatever. Cause like I started making like kind of like mini music videos. That was my, whatever, like promotional content. And I do love editing, but like you're totally right. You can only edit golf shots in so many ways to
Yeah.
scratch that creative itch. I want to go back though when you said that the interest for you personally is more now than it's ever been potentially for being in front of the camera. Is
Mhm.
that due to just the fact you've been around creators now for so long and you've been part of this top end creator ecosystem, or what kind of is that like driving potentially factor to be like, maybe is it just the creative thing, or what has it been like working with such a top creator and seeing that side of things as well?
Yeah, I think more it's just seeing like I don't know, it's more just like an itch of like I don't think I have any aspirations. Like I don't want to my goal is to start something that then becomes my career. It's more of like just a fun little like side thing if I have extra time to, even like little like Instagram videos that I've made where it's like, okay, it's fun. It's fun little like, you find a cool song and you're like, oh, cool shots would go good with this, or like little things like that that just scratch a certain itch that most of the golf videos we make don't, or some of them don't like. So yeah, like big into like storytelling, and like the road trip series was a fun thing. Like I love that because it's like you get to tell this story of two friends traveling, playing golf, and it's like that. I love the vlog aspect of it, and so yeah, there's definitely videos that scratch that itch that fulfill me in that way. But some of them, it's like we just play golf. It's like yeah, it kind of becomes been doing it for so long. It's like sometimes it kind of becomes monotonous, but still enjoy it.
I feel like the top end of YouTube golf recently has almost become less creative than in years past because it's all been just about big collaborations, kind of basic ideas like 1v1s, like birdie every hole, like very repetitive ideas, but just with bigger and bigger and bigger guests. And I think that's kind of plateaued. And I'd like to hear your take on this. I kind of saw the road trip series as like a bit of like a palate cleanser of YouTube golf recently, where like this is a series that is a series. Series traditionally haven't done super well on YouTube or YouTube Golf. And
Yeah.
it's one that really was like a lot about story, a lot about, following this journey throughout these 8 videos. What was kind of the spark to get in and do that versus just, traditionally it'd be like they do one video and then go off and try to find another creator to do another video with.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like just reading comments of people being like, you got to bring back the road trip series. Like for years, that's all people want is to see, initially they're like, oh, we want Garrett and Grant to film again. And then we
Hmm.
did that. It's like, okay, now we want them to do this road trip again. So I think, I don't know how much thought behind it. It was like, oh, things are getting stale with this. Maybe this will work. But like, I think it was just more of like, we know this is something that's probably going to do well. Like
Hmm.
it's a recipe for something great. The last one did well. People loved it. It's just, as much as like title thumbnails and like collabs do well, I still think there's a little bit of like good content prevails on
Hope
YouTube.
so. Yeah, hope so.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, so I think it was more just like this can be great content and it's gonna be fun for both of us. And yeah, heck of a grind, but holy
Yeah,
crap.
yeah.
But it was fun.
Give me like a little behind the scenes of your life because I feel like I want to just ask you, what is it like to work in your job and work for a major creator? Because a lot of people watching will have no idea like what, you can go anywhere from like what does your 9 to 5 look like to just in general, what's the relationship like how does it all play out for you doing what you do for a creator the size of Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of walk you through my last month. uh, Starting right after Thanksgiving, I was home in California for Thanksgiving, flew to Florida, and that was the start of the road trip. I think it was like the 1st or the 2nd of December. Basically filmed. I mean, that week was like the busiest, like, but also most fun. Like, I feel like when you're in it, you're like, holy crap, this is tiring because it's like we go to the course, film 18 holes, and then we have a 2.5 hour drive. And then Sky and I still have to film during that travel part. And then it's like, and then they go to bed, and then we have to like transfer the footage and share the footage with each other, charge the cameras for the next day. And it's like, it was just like it just didn't stop. So, like in the moment you're like, this is a grind, but then I feel like looking back, and I remember this from the California trip too, is like I don't even remember it being such a grind. I just remember like the best things. Like I feel like the memories of like being exhausted kind of fade out, and the funny moments and all that stuff kind of shines. But yeah, so film for that, I think it was 9 days, 10 days maybe road trip. We had like one day off, but basically 10 days. And initially I thought we were going to be posting these videos, like rolling them out beginning of this year, like January once a week. And I was like, I'd already had my like videos done for December basically. And I was like, oh man, we're going on this trip. I get to come back and we're just chilling. Like I can take time on these videos. And then one of the first days, Grant, they were saying like, oh, we have other videos we need to post during this time, like his tiger video, and I don't know what else he has, but like oh, we need to post these January, so we got to get these out before then, basically. And then we're like, they're like, what if we just post them all in 2 weeks? I'm like, huh? Like, so we got back on like I think I got back the 13th, and basically had, I'm look at the calendar, but basically had like 5 days to edit this first video, and then basically 5 days before the first day, and then from there it was like, then we posted 3 days after that, and then 4 days after that, or 3 days after that. So it was like I can confidently say that was the biggest grind like of my life trying to. And then we had Christmas. I think without Christmas it would have been fine, but I was trying to get the work, like everything done before the 23rd or something like that, so I could go see family. And getting all those videos done in whatever, a week and a half it was, plus the like graphics for it and the Instagram teaser was like, holy, yeah, I think some years got taken off my life during that during that month. But yeah, I think people liked them. And I think I don't know, I say that there's never like, I don't think I've ever edited like a perfect video. There's always things you can add, and I think it's like something as a creator for me that I'm like, kind of, okay, I get it to a certain point, and then the other 3% perfection is like not going to add that much, but there's definitely like little things that I would have liked to add if I had more time. But I feel like it's only things that like I will see or notice, and everyone else is like, oh, these are great. But yeah.
I feel like you take a lot of pride in your work, and I don't know if that's common with every editor.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I feel like it's, if anything, it's more of like what my work is a portrayal of Garrett and what he does. And like, I want that to look good, I guess, more than like taking pride for myself almost. I don't know. It's like, or
Hmm.
more just like the brand in general. It's like, I'm a part of this brand, and we want our brand to, have a certain, quality, I guess. And we've failed sometimes at that, like going down in quality or not posting the best content. But for the most part, it's like, yeah, I want, each video to be, the best foot forward we can give, and the best, effort at a certain video that we can give.
I've started working as a consultant throughout the space a little bit. And one of the things I do with teams when I first start working with them is try to structure and make sure employees are satisfied, like editors are satisfied with what's being asked of them. They're not being over asked. And then if they are, how do we, equalize that?
Mm-hmm.
How did you get to a point where you feel like you are just as much of this, because you're speaking of this, which I love, you feel like it's just as much on you as it is on Garrett. It's not just, oh, it's his channel, I'm just behind the scenes, I just do whatever and then whatever to him. Like you
Yeah.
really sound like you view this just as much as, your responsibility, and you have onus on this the same way. How did you get to that point?
Um, I would say, let's see. I feel like, I don't know, I do take pride in my work and like what I do. And this is such a big part of my life. It's like, it's so much of my life that I want it to be good. And I also like, I have a percentage basically to where, if our content does well, I do well. So I think that's a good incentive of like, and that's something like somewhat new of like, hey, Rod, I want you to come on and like basically have a percentage of this where, if GM Golf does well, we do well. And so that definitely helps, of where before it was like, it doesn't matter how good the video does. If, I do my work, it does well. So I think that definitely helps. Not that I wasn't doing my best
Mhm.
before, but it definitely helps. But yeah, I just feel like wanting to make the best content I can and always improving, finding little things video wise, editing wise that improve it. And yeah, not being satisfied with the content you're making, I guess. Like always trying to either find a more efficient way to do things, better way, more better quality, getting new gear, stuff like that. So yeah.
Dude, I love that. It definitely shows. So congrats. But you
Thank you.
were talking about a week that, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks stretch, or whatever that amounted to. That sounds insane. And I spent a little time as a videographer, editor back in my fitness days before I started my own channel. And, I've had stretches minorly similar to that. How do you avoid burnout? I feel like burnout is so prevalent in the creator community, and so many people who have never done this are like, like you're not, paving roads for 12 hours a day. What are you talking about? You're playing golf for
Yeah.
a living, but like you're not playing golf for a living. You're working more than the creators that play golf for a living. How do you avoid burnout?
I think I mean, this past month, that this was like a grind more than anything. I think it's a lot of times it's similar to that, where it's like, we go on a trip for a week and then I come back and have to edit these videos, or I got to get ahead so that when we do go on a week trip, I don't have to edit on the trip or whatever. But I don't know. I think I've learned to like time manage and know when I'm in a creative mood to edit. And like, there's days where I'm going to get a ton done because I'm mentally there or like whatever. But then there's also days that like I know I don't have it and I'll just do tracers or something and listen to music or like. So I think finding those little pockets of time where you're like, okay, I can put in, 4 hours right now and it's going to be a focused 4 hours and I'm creative, my creative juices are flowing. So I think just kind of finding those times, and when I'm not finding those times, doing things that you know keep me sane, I guess.
Hmm.
Like try to be pretty active, and I have a roommate, we like to play games and whatnot. So yeah, finding time to do things like that. But as far as avoiding burnout, like, yeah, I'm not like worked that hard to where, I mean, I've worked hard, but I'm not like, if we had what we did this month, 4 months in a row, I'd probably burn out. I was close this last trip, but it's also like, I also knew like after we finished these videos that I would have some time off. Like I've had kind of 2 weeks to just chill basically because we don't have any other content. So it's like, which is rare. It's rare that I get, a week where I'm like, man, I don't really have anything I need to be doing. So yeah, it's nice.
Love that. It's have you ever considered, because I know it's a problem that editors run into sometimes, like you said, with, the grind aspect of especially certain parts of the videos, the less creative parts of the videos. Have you
Mhm.
guys ever toyed with the idea of just bringing on a grinder that just does rough cuts and tracers?
Yes. So Michael is someone that he used to work for Good Good. He goes on a lot of our GM golf trips now. And that's something too, where if I am feeling overwhelmed or I know like, okay, we have this trip here and the next week we go here and we need to upload these videos at these time, I'm like, it's not feasible for me. I can pass off a rough cut or tracers to Michael. So he's kind of like a emergency guy that I use if I need someone in a cinch kind of thing. But for the most part, like it's GM golf is still so much my baby that I
Mhm.
like, especially if it's a video that is like it's a big video or a collab that I want it to be good. It's like even the rough cutting is like there's certain pacing and
Mhm.
funny things that like don't come across. It's like I don't know, because I feel like at this point GM golf and the humor is so much of mine too that it's like even giving that up sometimes is tough. And there's certain videos that is fine, but there's definitely like most of them I would say is like I want my hand in everything. So yeah,
Spoken like a true creative. I love
yeah.
it.
But yeah, I think this year I think I will try to start like delegating that a little more just to take some whatever off my plate,
Mhm.
and so I'm a little happier and whatever. Not that I'm not happy, but it's just I don't know, a little bit goes a long way. Like another video a month or something, or video and some tracers like frees me up a couple days to where I'm like, oh, I can rest those days, I can whatever. So
Totally. What do you think about the current state YouTube and YouTube golf. I feel like I've talked about this with quite a few creators. They have varying opinions of where the space is at. You guys, I think, have a unique, or I mean, you have a unique perspective being the editor, but I think you guys have a unique perspective because you're also one of the OG personalities in the space and one of the channels that's been doing it the longest, and you've seen the most ebbs and flows. I'd love to hear your take on kind of where you think the space is at.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. And I think that's a testament to just creators putting out better content. And when there's a chocolate sundae over here and uh, you know, I don't know what would be bad, an egg or something. I don't know, whatever. It's like you're gonna want to eat the chocolate sundae. You're gonna want to watch this better video with Phil Mickelson and all of these collabs of like people that people love instead of you don't want to, there's certain videos that people are going to want to watch over yours. And yeah, it's definitely changed. It's definitely makes my job harder of like, yeah, we can't just go out and play golf and you know it's not gonna, because it used to be that where it's like we
Hmm.
used to not even have a title and thumbnail before we filmed or something
Hmm.
like that. It's like, let's just
Hmm.
go play golf and we'll think of a title. It's like, no, and it would pull 400, 500,000 views.
I know.
It was so easy. So, but now it's like we come up with these like great ideas of games to play, and it's like it doesn't pull the views, and it's like, yeah, it's definitely changed and makes my job harder. And I don't think I've ever like, not that I like fear for my job, but it's like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, we gotta really, it's like pedal to the metal, like come up with some stuff or do collabs or go to these extravagant courses kind of thing. And it's like, I think the hard part is that there's not like an answer either. It's not like, oh, if you just do this, it'll work. It's like, I think if we do this, because there's been so many times the last couple of months where it's like, oh, this is where we feel like we've been uploading like great content and then it doesn't do well, and it's like it's the most frustrating thing ever. But I feel like I've also learned that to not like care so much about it because I don't know, I used to be more involved in, or not involved, but just like look at numbers and look at like whatever. And when a video does bad, it's just like it's so hard for, especially once you, at least for me, when you pour so much into it of like, man, I just put 5 days of work into this one video and I made it the best I could, and then it like doesn't do well. It's like, it's the most like, I don't know what the word is for, but as a creator, as an editor, as someone that was there filming, that came up with the idea for the video, sometimes it's like it's just the most demoralizing thing ever. You're like, it's like you feel like you failed. So I feel like trying not to like get too caught up in numbers and just like take a step back and be like, okay, this is, I love doing this. It's like something that, I'm fortunate to get paid for and it's my job. It's like, so yeah, but definitely a change in YouTube golf. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I've worked with a couple of creators from that, I'll call it legacy era now, and it's a big conversation of like, listen, like we can't do or you can't be doing what you used to be doing. Like it can't just be a 2v2 that's titled, with, like not like a huge crazy collab guest, like a recurring you've collabed 400 times and you're going to put out a video and it's, yeah, you're expecting hundreds of thousands of views. It's just like, nope. I've said this a couple times now. It's like YouTube golf has gotten to a point where it's so much less about the creator and it's so much more about the content, which is like great. I think it's a good place to be. And I think it's just raised the market to a point where it's like if the idea isn't great and the idea could be the collab, it could be the course, it could be like there's lots of different things that could represent the idea.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, solo videos are just they're like kind of not really a thing anymore, at least at this current stage. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just it has shifted. It has shifted a lot. But my next question wasn't just going to be like, how do you combat that? Like I know you said there's not really an answer. Like what have you guys been brainstorming that it's like, how do we address this? Like, I don't want to say problem, but like reality of, because also there's just so many more creators doing it now too,
Yeah. Yep.
what is the response like?
Yeah, I think as far as like GM golf goes, it is, I mean, we are in a tough spot to where so much of Garrett's time is being spent in good, and that's such a big part of his thing where it's like it's hard to put everything we have into GM golf because, he has other, you know, requirements to be on good or be on trips where it's like we kind of try to find pockets of time to, like, Garrett sometimes has a week out of each month to go film, and it's like it's harder to do one-off videos where we go travel and play with X person, because I know
Mhm.
Garrett has connections, and it's like we could do that in theory, but it's just not as, I guess, plausible for us to be traveling for 3 days to film one video with someone and whatnot. So yeah, I don't know if it's a tough question, and I don't know if I have a distinct answer. Like I said, there's not really an answer, but I don't know. I think just if we play with certain people and go to cool places, and I think it'll do good.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's very interesting to see because even like I feel like the content week idea has also needed to shift a little bit because even if you look at what happened in Selena towards the end of the year, where they had the $100,000 skins game, which is arguably the biggest like YouTube golf video of all time. Just you take like the Avengers of YouTube golf and then add the most amount of money that's ever been on the line in like a classic YouTube video. That video did great. But then there was probably like 12 other videos that came out from that week from other creators. And basically it was linear. Every single video just started doing less good, less good, less good, less good, less good. And that really is where content weeks can run into issues now. Is like if the content feels repetitive, then
Yeah.
the interest just starts going down because there are so like Grant's just going to put out a video with Tiger and XYZ is going to put out a video doing this, and there's just like the competition almost kind of like forces you to like you have to take a week's worth of ideas, find the best one in that one place, and you can only do one. You can't do five, which
Yeah.
probably makes it a lot tougher too to like, maximize if you only have a week to film.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the tough part, is like we do usually only have a week to film. So it's like kind of a game of like, okay, how can we turn this week into like 5 different days almost, where it's like the days don't like correlate at all. It's like, yeah, we're kind of in the same spots, but it's like, okay, this day we're gonna do this thing, and then it's totally different. And then yeah. So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it's interesting. I got a different question for you.
Mhm.
You have a unique relationship with Grant and with Sky. You guys have been boys forever. There's like that really great clip of you guys in the hotel room in the first California room, and you're like, "Hey, I'll do the thumbnail for you if you like come down to the bar with us or
Yeah.
something like that." Like just like that to me represents Grant's infancy as a creator. Like he was very like he was just learning. He was brought on by Garrett and kind of brought up. He wasn't a creator coming into this, at least not like on any large of a scale. And he is literally ascended to be the biggest thing in YouTube golf right now. What has that been like from your perspective, watching that growth? And is there anything that you kind of like maybe saw early on where you're like, I feel like this guy maybe has what it takes?
Yeah, I mean, Grant is just a student of the YouTube game, and he is like such a nerd when it comes to titles and thumbnails and the way he like thinks about things. And so I think that's a testament to like how good his channel is doing, and he knows what's going to do well, what's not, what people to collab with, and like it took him a little bit to figure that out. I
Mhm.
think once he kind of left good, but it's like he's figured it out. He has his kind of niche now of playing with these people, and so yeah, I think that's just it's more like, and Sky too. Like I haven't known Sky as long, but yeah, same thing. Sky is like a mini Grant when it comes to titles and thumbnails and the way he thinks about things and the way they work together. Like, um, yeah, so no, they got a good thing going for sure.
Were you surprised or have you been surprised to see how high he's gotten in this YouTube golf space? Because I agree with you. Like when you first left, it was like, okay, yeah, there was a lot of hype because there was a lot of drama around it, just like with Micah. But
Mhm.
then the channel kind of lulled for a little bit. Like, and I don't think a lot of people wouldn't be surprised if he just stayed around that, 100 to 200,000 view mark a video. But it definitely hasn't. It's gone up. Has that shocked you at all? Because it.
Um, no, not really. No, I think he's. I mean, when you collab with people at the top of the golf game, and he's a great character, he
Mhm.
knows how to pace a video, he knows how to, keep it. Yeah, no, I'm not shocked that his videos do well, I guess.
One of the most common questions I think in the YouTube space right now is like what could be next? Like not even just for you guys as already established creators, but like if you were to paint a picture of someone with a rise, it doesn't have to be like Grants, but I'm using it as kind of just like a transition here. Someone who's going to come into the space from zero and rise up to a big name, what do you think they would
Yeah.
have to do? Because if they just came in and they tried to be Garrett or they tried to be Grant or they tried to be Bob to Sports, you're not going to beat these guys at their own games. You have to
Yeah.
innovate. What do you think that next thing could be that could like break a channel out?
I heard you talk about like some sort of Sam Sulek type of like low budget, I don't know. I feel like if someone, which is funny because we actually like during our road trip, I mean, we talked a lot in the cars and whatnot, and that was something that like we talked about. Like that's kind of the only way of someone to break into the space now is I think
Mhm.
it'd have to be someone that like some sort of series, like daily series of them trying to like break a certain score, and I
Mhm.
think if they like edit it enough to where it's like let's say each day they go to the course and they're like working on something else, or I don't know. I feel like that could be cool of just like a pretty simple, I think, tripod even, like, or maybe
Mhm.
have someone follow you mic'd up and it's some dude that's like shooting mid 90s or something like that. And their goal is to break X or something like that. And you
Mhm.
kind of see their progress. I think that could be cool. But yeah, it's definitely a hard space to tap into now or to break into now because I don't know, you could be putting out great content with your group of four friends and nothing like it's you don't have anything different. It's like why are people going to watch you over other people, other over Bryson and whatnot? Like,
Yeah,
no.
totally. You guys, and I don't know how much your involvement is with Garrett's vlog channel. I assume maybe minimal, but
Mhm.
he has tried slightly other things other than YouTube golf. But has there ever been like anything you two have looked at together, or you have thought of yourself that was like this could be an additional avenue, like whether it be like a podcast or just a whole different like side of YouTube that you could move into? Has there ever been a thought of maybe not losing the golf, but adding a deviation as well?
I think we definitely want to do more kind of like storytelling things. We have there's a like snow. I don't know if it'll happen yet. I think it's still on the table, but there's like a snow golf tournament in Switzerland that we wanted to go to and like kind of make some sort of like document about, like kind of documenting our experience going to that and like that stuff gets me excited. Like I love the Eric Anders Lang
Mhm.
like travel stuff where he like his storytelling is great. I think his videos are the most underrated golf videos on YouTube. And so I think something like that, something I would love to do something like that. And I don't know if it would necessarily get the views that, it's like we're not playing into the collabing with people, but I don't know. That's something that I would have fun with and like the storytelling aspect. But as far as the vlog stuff goes, I know Garrett has a huge passion for vlogging and that kind of content. Like he's editing his own stuff there. And, with vlogging, there's endless amounts of content there. Whereas with golf, it's, you're kind of upheld to this, like these ideas that have to be on a golf course, or you can only do so much, I guess. But with vlogging, yeah, he can do, his opportunities are endless. So yeah, maybe I know he wants to start putting out more vlogs and make that more of a point, but I don't his life is so busy. I don't know how he even like puts them out or whatever, but yeah, it could be cool.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a very interesting, time and period where it does feel like there's sort of like a set formula in a way. Like I know you said there's an answer, but it's like, if you go and you film, yeah, with a Phil Mickelson, or you go and you film, a collab with Grant right now or whatever, like there's like certain things you can do that are repetitive, but how do you keep like creative differences coming within the content, within the space, and keep evolving? But also, how do you like stay to your core, and by core I mean core audience? And I think that's something that I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on. As creators, maybe we struggle with is like chasing that 1 of 10 versus being okay with the like 7 of 10 that you get a ton of engagement from your core that love it because it's just a good old fashioned whatever, like if Rick posts a
Yeah.
break 75, like there's so many people that despite the fact that maybe the views over time have gone down on those, there's still like hundreds of thousands of people who love that just like raw content. They've been watching it for years. They desire it. But it's tough because it's like that video series might not be performing as well, so maybe he's not going to make it. How do you kind of struggle with that of like there's tons of people that would watch Garrett just go play on his own
Mhm.
and love it. But it's probably not going to be a 1 of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. It's easy to get caught up in like, man, every video has to be the best and like every video has to be some extravagant thing. But at the same time, it's like as a creator I mean, I'm kind of like, I guess, sort of speaking for him. It's like he likes to go out and just play golf with his friends. And it's like that's something that he enjoys. And it's like that's something that he's fulfilled by doing. And that's something that like I enjoy doing and I'm fine with, even if it is a 7 out of 10 or whatever. So yeah, I think, and I think that's a big reason that like he hasn't burned out. Like the fact that he's still going on 2, 3 trips a month, like filming as much
Crazy,
as he
man.
is, but being in as much content as he is insane. It's like
Yeah,
yeah, it's crazy that he hasn't burned out yet with how much he does. But I think that's part of it is like he's made content that he genuinely enjoys doing, and he's not gonna chase something that he doesn't enjoy or yeah. So I don't know. I don't want to speak speak too much for him, but
totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Going back in time a little bit, were there any watershed moments where you're like, this is bigger than I thought it was? Like any like moments where you're just like I think of obviously a lot of guys that I've talked to said that moment was, 2 years ago when they did the podcast and Grant and Mike were leaving. And like the
yeah,
fact that my channel spawned from that, a whole YouTube channel, but then also
yeah,
just like all you know, the interest around it. I feel like that was kind of a moment where everyone stopped and they were like, oh, this is like the investment of people into our lives is like nothing we thought it was. Like, have you
yeah.
had any of those moments over the years?
Um, I don't know. It's hard to like. I feel like when we do videos with people of a certain caliber in, the world of either sports or music or whatever, it's like, oh wow, this is cool. This has reached, you know, a wider audience of people that like, enjoy these videos and like so I feel like when we collab with certain people, I'm like, wow, this is kind of cool. That's like we're just making these golf videos and like people like this are watching or like whatever. But yeah, definitely when all that like drama was going down, I guess it's like wow, people really like care about this stuff, or even seeing comments of like, oh, we want you to do the road trip series again, because like the first road trip, like we didn't know how special that was going to be. Like while we're doing it was just another week, just another like you know week of content, and then like people love that. Or same thing when like we did like the reunion thing. It's like man, it's such a big deal for people, and it's like that's kind of crazy being like, and it's like I feel like it's like a lot of pressure too, like those kinds of videos where it's like especially like this road trip too, and like that reunion video or certain collabs, whatever. It's like man, there's like so much like anticipation and like it's like pressure to like make these videos good and capture a certain emotion. But that's also what I love. Like I love working on a video that I know is gonna reach a wider audience. That like I feel like I don't know. That's what I like doing, I guess.
Totally. How you guys have like a unique level of contacts almost. Like I feel like the A-list flock to you guys and like we definitely see the most like actual celebrities and like, whether it be like the Devin Bookers or the Noahs or whatever that you guys have gotten to film with. Like how have you guys made those connections and gotten because they're very different. Like Grant really only collabs and with, top golf personalities, but you
Yeah.
guys have like gone outside of golf with some of these
Yeah.
collabs.
I mean, I think a lot of them are just people that watch our videos, and
That's got to
it's
be
like
crazy, eh?
yeah, it's like Noah was talking about how he, watched our videos during or watched Garrett's videos during COVID, and he's just like
Right.
been a fan. Or someone like D'Lo that's like, oh, he's just likes watching our content, and like, he was starting his own golf stuff. So I think there was something there where he's like inspired by us and whatnot. But yeah, no, it's cool having people that you're like, that are at the top of their, profession be like, oh yeah, I love watching your videos or something. I'm sure Garrett gets a lot more than that. Like even, people that follow him or he's messaged through DMs or whatever. But yeah, no, it's crazy how big it's gotten, I guess, because especially being there from the start when Garrett had 3,000 followers, it's like seeing it evolve to what it is now is crazy, and it's easy to get caught up in the, YouTube's changing, our views are down. What are we gonna do? But at the same time, it's like we're so blessed to do what we do, and even when, like if a video doesn't do well, it still does great in the grand scheme of things, and still doing great. To where, yeah, I don't think too much of it.
I don't know how much you think about this kind of stuff, but like what do you think the long term for you looks like? Like is this something that you want to stay in as long as you can? Do you have desires to maybe like start, a production company or, build what you do out? Or do you always want to kind of be, I know you've talked about enjoying the one-on-one relationship and that dynamic. What do you see kind of down the road potentially?
Yeah, I love like teaching people to do what I do. Like I would sit down with someone for hours about talking about how to edit or do stuff or whatever. So I think building some sort of production company where there's like I'm thinking back to like when I was in high school, and if
Hmm.
there was some sort of opportunity where I could like have this like kind of mentor that would give me gigs and stuff. Like I always say, if there was like five of me,
Hmm.
I think each one would be killing it in a different realm of like one would be doing real estate, weddings, like social, other whatever it is. And so I feel like, yeah, definitely down the line, having a production company of people that, work under me and, I can kind of outsource the stuff or have like a thing of like, oh, go to, Ride Arriva Media or whatever. We need someone to do a wedding. I'm like, hey, Timmy and Jerry, you go over there, like, whatever it may be. So I think, yeah, that's definitely a probably 10-year plan, maybe, because then, once if I have a wife and kids, hopefully in 10 years, I can like settle down and not work as much because what I do right now, like, it wouldn't be sustainable if I had, wife or kids or even a girlfriend at that point. Um, yeah, definitely like bigger aspirations for that. But as far as like what I'm doing now, I feel like kind of ride it out as long as I can, and as long as I'm happy doing what I'm doing and it's doing well. I think priorities have kind of shifted over the years in terms of like what I'm doing. Of like, the first year doing this, it was like I was like I was 100% in like every little thing, whatever. But I feel like through the years, I'm still putting so much of my effort into this, but realizing that like health and relationships and, stuff like that is important too. And like shifting priorities a little bit and not, you asked about like 9 to 5 and kind of having more of a structure, I guess. It was like, okay, I want to work in these hours and, sometimes I'll need to answer a call or something, but just being more diligent in like when I'm working and like time and health and all that stuff. So yeah.
Love it, dude. Is there anything you want to tease before I let you go? 2025, anything you guys got coming that's exciting, interesting?
Nothing really, I guess. I don't know. I wish I had
Yeah, no, you're good. You're
that
good.
thing. Yeah, I don't know.
You're chilling, man. Well, dude, I appreciate you coming on, man. I love your work. I feel like I rarely will not watch an intro to your videos, even if I don't have time to watch the whole videos. It's like
Yep.
that I get a lot of enjoyment from, and I follow you on
That's
Instagram, and I like your clips, and
that's pretty much all I watch in YouTube golf is like
yeah,
I'll watch the first 10 minutes or not 10 minutes, 10, 20, like whatever the intro is, I'll watch the
yeah,
intro. Like I
yeah,
watch the intro of every golf video there is.
yeah,
And if it's like a match or something, I'll skip to the end and see who wins or whatever. But
yeah.
then other than that, it's like, yeah, it's pretty much it's pretty much all I watch.
Yeah, it is just fun, and again, I think you do a really good job. So, congrats, buddy. Everything that's happened. I hope you have a lot of success this year, and just keep enjoying it. I think that's the big thing. It's just
Yeah.
stay in a place where you're enjoying what you're doing because that's I think what's most
Yep.
important.
Yep. Appreciate it.
Sick, buddy. All right.